I would like to welcome all of you to my PowerPoint presentation on the importance of information literacy. Parents, administrators, teachers, librarians, and community members are the community of people who are invested in children in our global future, and I thank you for attending. The times, they are a-changin'. Do you remember when you were in school and you would be learning about a subject and get an assignment to write a paper? The teacher would say to you, go write a paper on a specific topic. For the most part, topics were assigned by my teacher, and I had no choice to decide on an area of focus that interests me. In one instance, I remember getting assigned to write a paper on the pituitary gland. I went home to my set of very outdated encyclopedias to see what I could find out about the pituitary gland. I looked at the entry in the P's to find out what it was, and there I found a paragraph or so about the pituitary gland. But it wasn't enough to fill up a 3-page paper, so off I would go to the local library to search their encyclopedias and card catalog for a book to give me enough information. I would then cite my facts and figures, just enough to fill my 3 pages and spit out the answers the teacher was looking for. These days, spitting out facts and figures is not enough. For me, my paper had no meaning. I wanted to learn something about the lungs because my grandmother was dying of lung cancer. But my teacher gave that topic to another student. The reports were turned in and read exclusively by our teacher without giving students the opportunity to hear the other student reports. If I had been allowed to explore that topic, I could have gained understanding and meaning that I truly needed at the time. I would venture to guess that I would still remember lots more about the lungs and the pituitary gland. As a student, we were under the impression that there was only one right answer, and we had to find it and present it to the teacher. There was no group collaboration or sharing of the information that was uncovered. Today, we realize that learning is not so much about the right answer, but more about finding information on a particular subject, hopefully with the topic chosen by the student, and one in which they can draw from their experiences or curiosity, so they can create deep meaning for themselves. It is about the process of recognizing the need for information, and formulating questions and curiosity, finding relevant information, assessing and organizing it to create personal meaning, and also communicate that meaning and significance to others. This is called information literacy. What is information literacy? Well, it's the ability to recognize the need for information, access it, evaluate it, organize it, synthesize it, and communicate it to impart meaning and significance. This is not completely a new skill, but it builds on basic bibliographic and information skills that have been around for a long time, like when I did my paper on the pituitary gland. Information literacy provides the skills necessary to meet the challenges of managing vast amounts of information today in a process-oriented approach. It involves a clear understanding of where and how to find information, the ability to determine if that information is meaningful, and how that information can be utilized to solve the problem or issue currently being addressed. Why is information literacy so important? Well, we've become more of a global society, and we must constantly learn to remain informed and current to function. The changes in technology and the amounts of information affect our lives on a daily basis, and the need to utilize information exists in all stages of life, and the acquisition of information literacy skills at a young age increases our ability to become lifelong learners as required by society today. We are inundated with vast amounts of information in a multitude of formats, and not all of it is accurate, current, or reliable. Some of it can be misleading or false. How can you tell if a web page is reliable or not? We may be tempted to rely on information from the internet and assume it's accurate rather than validate the source. And this can be the case regardless of information format. Administrators, teachers, librarians, parents, and the community, we must all work collaboratively to develop student information literacy skills. And the resources should include a multitude of sources, including classroom materials and media center materials, sources from the broader community. Understanding that learning occurs in school, at home, and in the community is very important. The goals as collaborative team members is to prepare students to become critical thinkers and use information effectively. We need to educate students to learn how to learn so they can utilize these skills throughout their lives as consumers of information. We must allow students to become self-directed and search for answers and formulate conclusions and find ways to engage the learners and measure those impacts of the new methods. One example is guided inquiry, and that works across all the curriculum in all the subject areas in the earliest grades to teach information literacy. Here is an example of Kulathu's model of the information search process. You initiate, select, explore, formulate a search strategy, collect that information, and present it. It's a process. And in the end, we assess the content and the process to determine, both students and the education team both assess the process and determine what was learned and what can be learned in the future. The educational team must partner and collaborate to identify the learning needs of students and guide students at various points in the inquiry process. We must assess the different types of learning in the inquiry process and work towards allowing students to gain deep understanding. We must create a rich learning environment that allows them to link the curriculum to their personal experiences and create an atmosphere that permits the child to find personal interest and meaning. This will help them create their own worldview. The implication for students is that information literacy prepares them for the workplace, citizenship, and daily living. It challenges students to connect their knowledge of the world with the school curriculum and develop new ideas. The process of learning how to learn is as important as the end product. Also, collaboration and group interaction allows students to develop social skills and learn things from others. This information literacy allows students to achieve personal growth and become productive, effective, and contributing members of society. The implications in the workplace are vast. Employees are expected to remain current with technological changes and be proactive problem solvers. Information literacy is one of the most essential skills required by employers these days, and collaboration and sharing information is also a workplace requirement. For individuals in society, the implications are also great. Individual quality of life depends on being information literate. Minority, at-risk, and economically disadvantaged students and adults may have less accessibility, which impacts their ability to gather information and make informed decisions. Personal and economic value comes from information literacy. The acquisition of knowledge and the ability to use information is crucial to providing opportunities for success and actively participating in our democratic and global society. I challenge each of you to take a moment right now and consider examining your own information search process on something that interests you. Did you feel overwhelmed with the options and choices? Well, I hope that when you leave this presentation, you pursue your quest for knowledge. Pay attention to the steps you go through to find meaning. Jot them down. You will see that they are similar to the information search process I discussed above earlier. By the way, when you find a new understanding, be sure to share your experience with someone else. You will not only grow in your new knowledge, but you will expose others and allow them to gain from your experiences as well. During your own personal quest for information, you may find yourself overwhelmed with the vast amount of information and sources out there. You may feel stuck or confused and uncertain as to how to proceed, just like the students developing their information literacy skills at school. The advantage is they have a team of dedicated educators all focused on helping children cross these gaps and ultimately gain the information literacy tools they need now and in the future. The need for information literacy and the tools needed to navigate the information universe allow them to positively interact with the world around them. By teaching these concepts in school, they're armed with the tools they have utilized across all grades and subject areas. This prepares them to grow, adapt, and rely on their information literacy skills to lead them to achieve their own goals within our community and in a global, information-filled world. I would like to thank you for joining me on my PowerPoint presentation on information literacy in the 21st century.